Hi, I'm some guy on the internet, and I'm going to continue my personal permaculture life transformation retreat. Uh, I've been going through this sort of process with some tools that have been really helpful for me over the years. I'm just kind of throwing them up here in case people want to go along with it with me as a sort of design exercise. It's the same exact sort of design exercise that I would do for a landscape, by the way. So, and this time I'm going to talk about this, the third set of nested symbols in the life transformation compass tool that I use. So this one will be about the dual insights of the Maslow needs pyramid and the Blackfoot Tipi. But first, just as a reminder, we're talking about this life transformation compass, which helps give us direction in our life and helps guide us in our way. So I could also do the same thing for your landscape or your livelihood or career job or anything like that. It's a way of thinking about any of those things more holistically is the idea of it, so that we take the big picture in mind and not just oversimplify things. So the first layer, as we recall, was our mind. The basic thing, the basic context in which we experience all of life. So the key to this is we want four qualities that we're going to develop over time. We want to be able to calm and relax into things. We want to be able to focus in on the work that we're doing right here in this present moment together. We want to be energized and uplifted and feel refreshed. And we want to be happy about it all so that we come to everything with a positive attitude. So, after that, we talked about making a supportive space, a place that's going to support us in achieving our goals and just creating a great life. And this time, we're going to be talking about these dual insights of the Maslow needs pyramid and the Blackfoot Tipi. So, looking back at this, we could really kind of think of these two things as, in a super simplified sense, as the blue pyramid represents having a path of self actualization, a path of working on bettering ourselves, a path of looking at what our own needs are and meeting them in a constructive way. Basically, it's a path of self development. The other side of the orange pyramid is a path of community development and community good. So in this framework, this is just telling us we always want to have a path for moving forward and a plan for that self development, and at the same time a way to work on something good for the world. Those two things together. So looking at those in a more concrete way, we could just stop even right there and say if you're done with this video, you can stop and move along. Those are the two big main ideas here. And if that already means something to you and you have those in place, then maybe you just need to focus on some other aspect of the compass. But if we want to go deeper, we can look more at these two tools. So on the left, we have the Maslow Hierarchy of Need. And the Maslow's concept aims for personal development, a path of self-actualization and eventually transcendence. And it begins with making sure that our physiological needs and our basic needs are met so that we have the freedom and privilege to go on and work on these other things. Now, at its best, that also means recognizing that we do the same thing for everyone in our society, because our personal needs are only really truly going to be secure if we live in a society where everyone's needs are secured, right? So if we live in this sort of capitalist dystopian hellscape where we're all just basically clinging on to survival by our fingernails, then we're going to live in a society where everyone is really focused on that and not able to become their best selves. So The downside of this concept is that we could think of it as being kind of a selfish goal to develop as myself, to be the best version of me. Now, so the Blackfoot Tipi, which we all know, and Maslow was very clear in his writing, that he was very inspired by his time spent with the Blackfoot tribe. But there's some debate over whether or not he actually was taught this tool, the Blackfoot Tipi. Anyway, but it is, whether or not it is fully true, it's a great metaphor and a great tool for understanding this concept. So the Blackfoot Tipi here, we could call it of cultural permanence, makes its goal, the pinnacle of the pyramid, to be the creation of a just and sustainable society, a permanent culture. To get there, they recognize that we have to become the kind of people who will manifest that sort of society. See, if we're all a bunch of jerks, we're not going to create a great society, right? We're going to create jerktopia. And anybody living in jerktopia is likely then to also become a jerk. Jerktopia is going to create a bunch of jerky people. Well, it works the same way, right? Jerks make jerktopia, which makes more jerks. So if we want to create a just and sustainable society, we have to interrupt that and try to become the best versions of ourselves, which is why most sustainable societies, most indigenous societies, most traditional societies gave us lots of paths of self-actualization, lots of ways of working on becoming the best versions of ourselves, lots of rituals and rites of passage that we could go through to develop ourselves. And then, of course, a community involved in self or community actualization as well, lots of community rituals and events. So those all supported this creation of a just and sustainable society. So we need both, is the idea. If we want to, this is represented by the moon at the top here, above the two pyramids. If we want to create a better life, one of the best ways to do it is to focus on creating a better world, because that lifts us out of focusing on ourselves and being so selfish, right? Instead of focusing so much on our own personal dramas just matter less and melt away when we're focused on community good. For example, if I have a job, maybe I focus so much on my job, being a lawyer, being a doctor, whatever it is, as giving me value, that I get really afraid of losing it. And so this can keep us trapped in our lives, right? In a situation we might not want to be in. So, but if we're just focused on our job as a tool, because our real goal is this societal, creation of this permanent culture, or to work on ourselves and create a better world, then our job is not that important. It's just a tool for achieving that goal. And if we lose it, that's no big deal. There are other ways we can move on and pivot to continue to do this work. So having these two things, having a path of a self-actualization and a way to contribute to a better world, give our lives real meaning and real value. They really make us feel wealthy and secure. So, and there's just a ton of science now I could go into that if you want to be happier and have a better life, developing compassion, developing caring about other people is one of the most powerful things that we can do to become happy. So these two things work really great together. And what we see down here then at the bottom is this overlap. This implies that there's this area here. If we want to work and start our journey with self-actualization and making sure that our physical needs are secured and our basic needs are met, then working on activities that fit into both of these things are really powerful. That gives us the solid base. It's the section of overlap at the bottom of these two. If we believe that we want to have these two things, a path of self-actualization and working on the world, then things that allow us, actions adventures that allow us to do both of those things at the same time are really powerful leverage points for creating a great life. So this is a third, we could call this the fourth layer in our pyramid, is this effort to create a secure and beautiful support system for ourselves. I go into this a lot. We go into this a lot in Growing Free and in Beauty and Abundance, and we have some lists about some types of activities that will help us do this. And here I have, this I feel like it's story time, children. This is Beauty and Abundance, and this is the section in that on page 43 on the solid base. And I do give some examples of some things that will help build the solid base, like having an adventure to create a tour and go visit inspiring gardens, make an ancestors garden with people, explore spiritual patterns in the garden. Find ways to bring other people into your garden. It doesn't have to be perfect. Host tours. Get involved in permaculture or transformative adventures groups. So those are things that are helping to build that support system for ourselves. Build, if you go and create a community garden with people, a community permaculture garden, then that's something where you're making sure that your physiological needs are better met, and your need to belong, your need for esteem with people. So we're focusing on those needs. At the same time, it's building a community thing with other people, right? And this effort of doing this gives us that path of self-actualization. So those kinds of activities end up being some of the most powerful things that we can do. Now, to give us some ideas about where we could start with that, I like to focus in on what those needs are. And on page 44, I have a list of a set of solid-based self-assessment for the landscape. And there's a similar one in Growing Free that's more focused on your general life. So we could consider what our needs are and what's lacking. Maybe even just thinking about this has you thinking, what areas of your basic needs do you feel least secure about? Do you feel a little insecure about your housing? Do you feel insecure about food? Do you feel insecure about your need to belong within community? Then that should give you some direction about what kind of adventures we want to start working on next. So those could be physical needs, having a secure, safe, legal housing, safe water, your basic calorie needs met, having a good, healthy diet. If you don't feel your diet is healthy, then you could design a whole series of adventures or an adventure around that, something that will help build that for you. Your safety needs. How do those feel? Do you feel like you have a safe place to stay? Along with your safety and security needs, do you have a path to become free, financially resilient, and economically empowered? Do you have land access? With your belonging needs, do you have people that you can spend time with? Do you have activities that engage you with your community? Do you have enough opportunities to connect with other people? Do you have a feeling of identity? Nurturing surroundings would be another thing. We talked about that in the last go. So there's some overlap between these, of course. Secure surroundings. Do you feel like your surroundings are secure? Do you have self and community actualization processes for yourself? Do you feel like you have something meaningful that you're doing that gives you this path of self-development? So if any of those feel like they're lacking to you, then those would be great leverage points for development and creating and doing it in such a way that it creates a path of self-actualization and community actualization and belonging for us. So that's what we get from this next set of pyramids. We have 3 tools together there, and you could even jot those down. What is your path of self-actualization for right now? Maybe there are a few. Which do you want to prioritize? How about community good? And finally, do you have some things in mind that will help you build a more secure and stable life for yourself while also giving you that path of self actualization? All right. So we still have a few more tools left here. And I might do another short video just talking about how this is impacting me, because this is really helping me gain some clarity about what I want to prioritize next in my life, too. All right. Thanks.